How we doing, guys? Good. Can we turn the TVs off so I don't have to show all my spots from getting my sunspots burn off? No, I'm just kidding. Fire away. Great. I'll see you guys later.
What are some of the challenges of Seattle's front?
Yeah, they're very talented. Not only do they have really good players, they've also got a really good scheme. So obviously, we're going to have to be very detailed, make sure that communication is really sound, because obviously playing in that environment, our first trip on the road this season, one of the things we stressed to our guys this week is got to make sure everybody's on the same page on every play.
Spencer's been really good from 2 games of ball security. Is one of the keys for him maintaining that and yet not shying away from bold opportunities for explosive plays?
Sure. As we say, we always want to aggressively take what the defense is going to give us. So we're going to try and, dial up plays to push the ball down the field at times. And then when they're not there, Spencer's done a good job of getting the ball down to his checkdowns and those type of things. And that's critical to the success of any offense. You want to try and create explosive plays, but you also got to be smart when they put a lid on it. You got to be willing to check the ball down.
We haven't seen Juwan with a usage rate this high throughout his career. Is that something that you'll kind of envision when you brought him back this year, that he could be the high volume target?
Obviously, as you look at a season, you obviously want to be cautious of guys' workload. And we always are looking at how many snaps guys are playing and can we play, other guys more plays to try and take some load off some guys, because, it's a long season and, eventually you're going to wear down. But obviously very proud of what he's done. He's done a really nice job, and we've asked a lot of him. So we'll continue to ask a lot of him, and he's responded.
What do you think are some of the most important components when you guys are constructing the atmosphere for developing the young quarterbacks? What are some of the core things that you think need to be in place for that to work?
Well, it's a process, and I'll say it, I've said it always, the learning curve is very steep for these guys when they come in the league. And everybody, if a guy's a draft pick that's drafted fairly highly, there's a expectation that this guy should have immediate success. And I think what you see is there's many stories of quarterbacks that didn't initially have great success, that over time have extended their career and had really good careers. So part of it is getting into the system, understanding how it works, and that takes time. And the problem is when you look at the schedules and the timing, there's not a lot of snaps. So you're always looking at ways, how do we develop the player without getting the snaps? So we get creative with some of the things we do off the field, in the media room, and those type of things to try and help that development curve.
What are some of the creative things that you guys can do to simulate those snaps?
Well, then if I told you that, then everybody might think, well, they're doing a good job, so let's try that. No, we have a formula. Everything is well thought out, and let's be honest, they're not all our ideas. We look at what other people are doing too and try and steal ideas from our buddies and those type of things, because one thing I've learned in my career is you can always learn more in this game.
Getting Trevor back to practice this week, what have you seen from him? Obviously, it's a frustrating thing to change positions and miss all that time. How have you seen him kind of work back in?
He's done a great job. Obviously, anytime a player goes down with an injury, they're chomping at the bit to get back, and there's a process there, and it takes time, and then you get them to where they start to be ready to go on the field and do things with us. At first it starts with the guys in the training room, and they do a really good job, and then once they're acclimated there, they give them to us, and we start to slowly increase their workload as we go. But he's done a really good job.
Would you say he's ready? Just it's a question of the health.
I'll let Kellen answer the injury stuff, but excited about where Trevor is.
What have you made of the way that Alvin's been able to kind of take advantage of some of the lighter boxes in space?
Well, as they say, pace and space, you know what I mean? Trying to create pace in our offense with our tempo, and we want to create space for our playmakers to get the ball where they can create explosive plays. So obviously he's done it throughout his whole career. This is not something new, but obviously anytime we can get the ball to him, we got an opportunity for an explosive play.
Kind of related to that, you'll play at, I think, 83% of y'all snaps in shotgun, and are there challenges inherent in that when you're trying to get the run game going? I mean, run game's kind of traditionally under center.
Sure. There's, I really look at it, really 3 facets to the running game under center. You've got the pistol formation and the gun formation. All of them create different advantages and different issues that you have to deal with. So we're conscious of what plays we run out of what formations and where the backfield set is, how it relates, because as you move the back through those different, alignments, you also change the timing of runs. So that's a critical part of what we do, is making sure that the back is aligned with the timing of the run with the offensive line.
When they put that late hit on Spencer out of bounds the other day, one of the most active teammates coming to his aid was Kelvin. Does that tell you a lot about a rookie to take on that role?
I said it last week, his maturity and the things he's done since he's gotten here have been very impressive. I think he's playing really good football, really excited to have him, and it doesn't surprise me that he was one of the guys right in there at the start. And I was proud of all our guys getting over there, and I think it shows you what, our team chemistry is, what our character is, what our makeup is.
What do you make of Austin Richards' performance in the opener? He played like 30 snaps.
Yeah. I would have to go back and quantify exactly, so I don't really, I guess what I would say is impressive when you get a guy that comes in the building and all of a sudden he's thrust into a game, right away. So, most of your team, you've got all through OTAs and training camp, and you're like, okay, man, here we go. Going to play a game. Are we ready? Everything right. Well, now you got a guy that gets here in week one, and he now suddenly sees in the game. But really pleased with how he's, really dived into what we're doing. Obviously, every day is new for him, and, give a lot of credit to the guys he's playing with, because in order to play well up front, you got to have help from your buddies, and those guys doing a good job talking to him and helping him through the calls and those type of things.
You guys have now acquired 3 young receivers just in the last 4 weeks that weren't a part of this roster. What do you believe in that philosophy of just getting talent in the building?
Well, obviously, anytime you get young players, when you look at the league and how the league's structured contractually, and you look at the amount of money that guys make and how all that works, I think anytime you can get good young players and you have the advantage of the length of their contract, it helps your football team. And obviously, we're excited about those guys.
Red zone efficiency, obviously not 1 for 4 in week 1, 3 for 3 in week 2. Was there an emphasis placed on that, or is it just a matter of executing?
And there's always an emphasis placed on that. I mean, it's critical, right? When you look at football, it starts with a turnover margin, right? Then it starts with explosive plays. And then we talk about situational football, where you at on third downs, where you at in the red zone. Obviously, third down gets affected really by sometimes what you're doing on first and second down. So we're really cognizant of what distances we're playing third down in, because it's easy to say, well, we're 50% in third down. Well, if all of them are short yardage snaps, you're not doing great. But if those are 3rd and 7 pluses, you didn't do well on first and second down, but you're doing well on third down. So we're cognizant of all that. Was proud of what we did in the red zone last week. Got to continue to play well down there.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys.